What can you come across in an ordinary forest? Strange animals, abandoned houses, or a satanic altar? Or maybe a pile of bones? I'll show you the creepiest and most frightening finds that can be encountered in forests, and believe me, there will be something to be horrified about. And I'll start, of course, with the scariest forest that exists in the world. The finds there are almost always the same: dead people. Local residents try to talk to visitors who look like strangers, trying to prevent tragedies. At the entrance to the forest, there is even a sign with the number of a helpline to offer help to those who need it. And this is a chilling story from Russia. In 2017, Ivan, a 30-year-old man, suddenly disappeared without a trace during a solo hike in the Chatura area near Moscow. His search was unsuccessful, and it was ultimately called off without any findings. 2 years later, in 2019, another tourist reported finding a human skeleton partially buried under leaves in the same area. This skeleton was later identified as Ivan's remains. Particularly disturbing was the fact that several sets of handcuffs, locks, and chains were found along with the remains, attached to the remains and the nearest trees. Ivan's tent was found nearby, leading the police to speculate that he was attempting a Houdini-style trick, chaining himself up and trying to free himself without outside help, which likely ended tragically. One of Ivan's friends later stated that such a trick was in line with Ivan's character, as he often practiced survival skills in extreme conditions. However, others believe that Ivan was murdered and the crime scene was staged to look like a tragic accident. The official cause of Ivan's death was never determined. The jungles and forests of South and Central America conceal countless historical artifacts from ancient civilizations that once thrived in this region. In 2018, for example, on the border of Guatemala and Mexico, a stone slab was discovered that had been there for so long that tree roots had wrapped around it and completely engulfed it. It took researchers almost a year to carefully extract it from the tree, and only then did they realize the significance of the find. The slab bore images of a previously unknown king named Chatuc alongside a two-headed snake, indicating that it was a Mayan altar dating back about 1,500 years. However, after cleaning, it became clear that human sacrifices were performed on this altar, and it is entirely possible that hundreds of people lost their lives on this innocent piece of stone. But let's move on. Now, I'll tell you about another strange find. In the area of Harper's Crossroads in Bear Creek, North Carolina, there is a camping spot in the woods that has become legendary. Known as the Devil's Tramping Ground, it has long been remembered by locals as a strange place where nothing grows for some reason. According to stories, a 40-foot circle of the ground has remained barren for over a century, and it is said that this is where the devil walks in circles at night, plotting ways to bring evil into the world. Besides the lack of growth, items left in the circle at night often disappear by morning, and pets such as dogs often refuse to approach it. The few who dare to spend a night camping there return with tales of strange sounds and frightening experiences, so traumatic that they refuse to stay longer, making it one of the creepiest clearings in the United States. Despite this, people often go there to test the stories for themselves, but if any of the tales are indeed true, would you have the courage to stay there? I wouldn't dare. And where would we be without this legendary place? The Cabin of Free Hugs. Several years ago, an image of this place began circulating online, and it's possibly one of the creepiest things you could find in the woods. It's a small abandoned structure almost entirely reclaimed by nature, and at some point, someone sprayed the words "Free Hugs" on it with an arrow pointing to the door. They say this place is in an unnamed forest in Wisconsin, possibly not far from Plum City. And people who go inside simply don't come back. Joke or not, I wouldn't dare to check, apparently like many others, as there are simply no photos from inside this cabin. Storrs Mill Woods near the town of Barnsley in England seems like a rather ordinary place, but if you pay attention to the rocks and cliffs around, you might feel like this place is staring back at you. The Cadworth stone faces can disrupt your peaceful nature walks. If you ask a local resident about these faces, they'll tell you countless stories of how they came to be. From aliens to people turning into stones, some say they're ruins left by druids thousands of years ago to protect a spiritually significant area they saw as a path to the spirit world. Others will describe monks from the nearby abbey carving them to guard all visitors, or even that they were carved in honor of Viking warriors who once repelled unknown attackers from neighboring villages. Unfortunately, the truth is not as mysterious as it may seem, since the carvings were actually created recently by two local artists, Melvin Dickinson and Billy Johnson, and people have come up with their own scary stories. And this is the creepiest place I've ever seen. South of downtown Mexico City lies a network of waterways intersected by small islands covered in trees. One of them might be the creepiest forested spot you could ever visit, known as the Island of Dolls. It got its name in the 1950s when various dolls started appearing all over the island, and since then, their numbers have continued to grow. According to local legend, a man who once owned this place began placing dolls among the trees and buildings after witnessing the drowning of a young girl in one of the rivers. He believed he heard her cry for her doll. Frightened, he took the doll that was next to her and hung it on a tree, thus the tradition was born. Now the island is scattered with hundreds of dolls, and as some of them have been there for decades, they are now covered in cobwebs and insects and falling apart. This only adds to the creepiness of the place. In addition to this mystery, the man originally responsible for them also died on the island, reportedly in almost the same spot where he found the young girl many years ago. After his death, the island became a popular tourist destination where thousands of people have traveled by boat to see this strange place for themselves. But despite knowing what awaits them, almost every visitor is overcome with a shiver of realization of just how truly creepy this place is. For me, just the footage is enough. What about you? Forests are one of the most biodiverse regions in the world, where rich vegetation supports countless species of animals. Have you heard the expression that the forest is alive? This idea may not seem so crazy, as there is a rare phenomenon that, if you ever witness it, gives the impression that the forest floor is breathing beneath your feet. It's something you have to see to believe, but there are plenty of videos of this phenomenon. It feels like a huge monster is sleeping under the mossy forest floor, the earth clearly rising and falling in a way that is almost incomprehensible. Of course, after the initial bewilderment and eerie feeling, there is understandable scientific curiosity about the reasons for this phenomenon, and it's all related to the weather. This phenomenon is only observed at high wind speeds and in regions where the soil is loose enough. Under ideal conditions, the wind sways the trees back and forth, causing their vast network of roots underground to move with them. And what do you think about a staircase in the middle of the forest? It sounds unbelievable, but yes, several such staircases have been found in different countries. Photos of these objects even went viral, and soon they were actively discussed on Reddit, where some users claimed to have seen these staircases themselves. The mystery of this phenomenon lies in the fact that the stairs lead nowhere, which makes people think it could be a portal to another dimension, or maybe even to hell. Initially, the stairs were found only in the deep forests of America, sometimes up to 37 miles deep into the woods, which is approximately 60 kilometers. But soon, reports emerged of mysterious staircases found in Germany, Brazil, and the Philippines. According to those who saw the stairs in real life, they felt a certain presence and a sense that their presence there was unwelcome. So, they did not dare to climb the stairs. Others believe that the stairs are simply remnants of ancient human structures, but they look eerie. At first glance, you might think an alien spaceship landed in the forest. A round object surrounded by trees is located in a village in western Russia. It's unclear who or what created it and what it was used for, but there is a strange hole inside, and in some places, there are openings through which sunlight penetrates. On the outer side, there is a sign of radioactivity, but it's unclear if the object is radioactive since the area around it is not fenced off, and it doesn't stop people from examining it up close. Local residents say that the object has been here since the 80s and is not guarded, but no one knows what it is. Nichols Chase from Hanford, England, stumbled upon a creepy place where several dolls were nailed to trees. It made her feel uneasy, especially when she learned that this place used to be the operating room of an old hospital. This hospital operated as a military hospital during World War II and ceased to exist in 1924. The dolls look weathered, as if they'd been hanging here for years. The woman consulted a medium to inspect the dolls, and the medium told her that the dolls had no malicious intentions, they just looked creepy from the passage of time. I hate dolls. The forests of Scotland have always been a popular retreat for both locals and tourists. Especially true is the wooded area near the lake in the Scottish town of Alla. But an unprepared visitor might get quite scared, as here, near the forest trail, you can see ghostly figures of people barely visible through the leaves and branches. At first glance, it might seem like ghosts, but in reality, these are the works of Scottish sculptor Rob Malland. He creates his creations from semi-transparent acrylic glass, which has the amazing property of distorting the reflection of light, creating the effect of partial invisibility. Imagine suddenly seeing a figure while walking through the forest, and the next moment it disappears, and only the branches and leaves sway in the place where that strange ghostly silhouette just was. It's like a scene from a horror movie. Yeah, after seeing all these discoveries, you won't want to leave the house, do you? By the way, if you're looking for remote work, know how to write scripts, edit videos, or work with voiceovers, then message the Telegram bot to join our team. The link is in the description, and thanks for watching.